Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. And a while back, well, a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I did a video about Zelda, about Tears of the Kingdom, and I said that I think the title of the video was something like, I don't think Zelda is for me anymore. And I talked about how the game had matured to the point that it was now just any other JRPG instead of being this cute little compact RPG that I loved. And I ended up liking the game a lot. I ended up playing it quite a bit and finishing it. But it wasn't because it was my love. It was just because it was a decent game, right? Like, it was a good game, but it wasn't for the love of it. Regardless, a couple people commented that they had recently played Minish Cap again. Like, they had played it, and they were like, oh, I forgot how great Minish Cap is. So a couple of you responded to my talk about Zelda. And so I've had a Nintendo Switch Online subscription for 5 years now, and I've never used it. My coworker, we signed up as a family plan. I pay him whatever it is a year, and I've just never used it. But the thing that finally got me to open the app was the announcement of Fire Emblem. So I installed the Game Boy Advanced emulator, which I skipped. I went from Game Boy to Switch. Like, I skipped all of the other handhelds. I don't know why. I think it was just a time of my life where those sorts of things weren't important to me. I was playing console games when I could, but I was also like not doing well financially, so I didn't go with the whole handheld thing through the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance and all that stuff. So anyway, I installed the Nintendo Switch the Game Boy Advanced emulator so that I could play Fire Emblem, and then I opened up the app and realized Fire Emblem wasn't out yet. I love Fire Emblem. I love the whole series. I haven't played that one, so I wanted to play it. But what I saw in there was Minish Cap. I didn't know that Minish Cap was on there, so I played it this weekend. And it pretty much confirmed the way that I felt about Tears of the Kingdom. Minish Cap was fantastic. Like, absolutely fantastic. Every part of it was excellent. I would say the hardest part I had playing it was just how the controls were clunky. They were old school controls. So there was some oddities about it that I really wished would have been different. But besides that, the game was fantastic. It was the same Zelda formula. Boy with a sword goes on an adventure to save the kingdom and rescue the princess. It was temples that you had to go solve. The interesting part about this particular game was, aside from like the sword and the shield and the boomerang and the bow, sword, shield, bow, like most of the cool stuff, the grappling hook and the like, this was its own thing, right? It was its own world, its own game. So they didn't try to interject the hook shot or anything like that into this. They came up with a whole new set of puzzles to go along with a whole new set of equipment. They came up with different elements that you got to fuse to the sword. It was fantastic. It was such a good game. It was short, obviously. I think most of the first party games, I mean, even any of the games on the Game Boy series through the Advanced were kind of... I guess I lied. I did have a DS. I didn't skip all the handhelds. I had a DS. I skipped the Color and the Advanced because I was in the military and whatever. Anyway, the point is, it was like a whole new, for me, like was like a love letter to the reason that I loved Zelda. And despite the fact that this was like a 30-year-old game, it was fantastic. It felt like the joy that I got playing that game, of discovering new things, of finding little hidden gems, finding hidden heart containers. It was really, really good. And it did have extra collectibles, things I didn't do in the game. There's these blue seashells you can collect that you can trade in for like a figurine, like literally like a pop ball pull machine. You get a random drop. That just seemed extremely annoying. I was not about to sit there and mash through buttons trying to do that. So it did have, like I mentioned in that other Zelda video, the Tears of the Kingdom video, that there was just all these layers of collectibles and items to gather and this and that. This had some more things to do, but it wasn't constant, like, here's 1,000 quests because you have to collect this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. It wasn't all of those layers. And I really enjoyed that. The music was classic Zelda music. It was fantastic. The levels were really fun and engaging. There was a few moments that I had to double back and backtrack because I was like, I don't think I can solve this room. But I, eventually stumbled on the solution. Those always feel really good. I think, honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, those moments are the reason that I really gravitate towards this series. The moments where I have to struggle to figure out the solution. I don't know that I ever struggled to figure out any solution in all of the temples or shrines, or whatever they're called, in Tears of the Kingdom. I think maybe one time I had to go, oh, it's this. They were all very straightforward and like, okay, I know what I have to do. Some of them I required me to repeat because I kept failing, but that doesn't mean that it was difficult to figure out. Whereas with Minish Cap or any of the older Zelda games, some of the puzzles were like, how the heck am I going to solve this? And that was the reason I've always loved the series. The map felt big enough without being too much to keep track of. There is some overwhelming stuff in the beginning where you're like, oh, I have to go there and go here, and then you start to unlock. There was a collectible called Kinstones, I think they're called, and you can fuse them with people, and it unlocks the little treasures or great fairies or whatever. And so those will show up on the map, and you have to kind of remember where they are and figure out how to get back there. But it was all manageable without having to like write a list somewhere of like, I need to go here, I need to go there. What a fantastic game. So I just wanted to say I think that's the game that I'm looking more for, and I've been looking for that kind of game for a while now. I played what's the clone? Oceanhorn. I played Oceanhorn on my phone years and years and years ago, and it was obviously a Zelda inspired. I don't want to say it was a clone. It wasn't a clone, but it was heavily Zelda inspired, and it was fantastic. And those kind of like micro RPGs that are really puzzle games with something to do between puzzles, that's the stuff I really enjoy. So I'm looking, I guess the conclusion of this is, do you have other games like that you can recommend? I saw Super Mario RPG is getting a remake for the Switch. That was in today's Direct, and I'm super excited about that because from what I understand, that's in the same kind of vein of what I'm talking about. There's a game called Tunic that came out this year that is like you're a little fox, and I think that is a Zelda, nod to Zelda. I haven't bought it yet. I bought the physical collector's edition, and it doesn't come out till next month, so I will play that eventually. But I'm looking for more games like that I can play on my Switch specifically. I guess if it's on the phone as well, that's okay. But I really like those little puzzles with something to do between puzzles. I like puzzle games too. Monument Valley and what's the one I've been playing on? Railbound is a really neat train-themed puzzle game, like a path game. Like, Flow, those kind of puzzle games. I enjoy those, but I really enjoy the combination of RPG and puzzle that the Zelda series has. So I'd be interested to hear if you have any other recommendations. Or if you've played Minish Cap. And if you haven't, I highly recommend doing it. It's fantastic. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is refulgent. It is an adjective meaning radiant, gleaming, and shining brightly. When Anastasia moved her bejeweled hand while lounging in the midday sunshine, her sparkling diamonds were refulgent. 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 I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right, but it doesn't sound correct. Refulgent. Refulgent? Refulgent? I don't know. You tell me.